Austerity itself, the purpose of austerity itself is because there is a conflict between the way we have trained our body, this yantra, to work, and the way it ought to work in service of the Lord. So in the case of a pure devotee, the yantra is already come to its fundamental mode of total connection with Krishna and serving only for Krishna. So maybe at the bodily level some things, but at the mental level there is no conflict for a pure devotee. His mind is completely pure. So actually biggest austerity comes in the mind. To control the mind goes in another direction. And you know that's not the direction it should go. Now to hold it back becomes an austerity. Because it is, therefore the austerity makes sense only for the sadhaka. Now, the pure devotees, that technically can be called austerity, but it will not be an austerity, but it will be a loving service to the Lord that the devotee is doing. For him it is like, for instance, for Srila Prabhupada, preaching Krishna consciousness, going to the West and preaching Krishna consciousness was a great austerity. But it is not a material austerity. For him it is an austerity because he left Vrindavan and he had to go. Between the two spiritual choices that he had, both the spiritual choices that he had, he has to go and he has to be in the midst of people who are forgetful of Krishna, rather than being in Vrindavan in the midst of people who are all glorifying Krishna. So it's a spiritual austerity, that way. You are giving up something of higher thing. It's very important. That's exactly why I said that bridging the gap alone is not the goal of life. Very fast we should bridge the gap of controlling our mind and senses, because we have so many positive things to do for Prabhupada and Krishna. And this mind and body is holding it, is restricting it. So purification of ourself, our mind, our body, we should speed up by following the instruction of Prabhupada and Krishna, and so that in few years our eyes are opened, so that we can actually take up devotional austerities. Suppose somebody is able to control his senses and everything, chanting so many days, so many years, and Prabhupada's books and everything, then he feels very good, mind is very peaceful. He can think, oh, this is spiritual life, I don't want to preach. I don't want to go and work hard in the cities and all these things. I'll go to Vrindavan and I'm very peaceful. I have achieved, I am happy. My senses are not disturbed. Every day I'm able to chant 16 rounds, 32 rounds, 64 rounds. So what is there? Then we have lost the whole thing. We'll fall back. Prabhupada warned us this. He says, I have given you mercy. By Prabhupada's mercy, you may find peace, you may control your senses, you may come to a stage of clear perception of things as they are. Is it meant for you to sit there at that level, or is it meant for you to now perform devotional austerities of going in the midst of people who have forgotten Krishna and give Krishna consciousness to them? This is what Prabhupada did. And we follow in the footsteps of our Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. Till the last breath, we will, as Prabhupada did, till the last breath, we will continue to preach, irrespective of whether you are satisfied, you are fully satisfied, you have understood everything. Actually, the real Krishna consciousness means when you understand everything, you cannot withstand, you want to give it to others. So those who actually are selfish, who really not come out of the shell of the purpose of life is my satisfaction, my happiness, my peace, they are still, in one sense, they are neophyte, even though they are able to control their senses by virtue of their day-to-day practices of chanting Hare Krishna. They are neophytes. If they don't understand that I should glorify, I should get into my constitutional activity of preaching Krishna consciousness, taking the mission of our spiritual master forward, and in this way work spiritually, as Srila Prabhupada demonstrated at the age of 70, going to America. There is no need for him spiritually to do that. So it is a devotional austerity, means within the finer spiritual things he gives up something, some closer association of Krishna, and then he does it. Just like Prabhupada said, I didn't want to come down to this world. But for Krishna's work, I wanted to come down. I had to come down. So it's a devotional austerity. Nobody wants to leave association of Krishna. Wonderful, wonderful life in the spiritual world. All material, full of all illusory beings. All crazy. Everybody is a nut in this material world. Everybody is haunted. So do you want to go to Smashana full of ghosts? So like that, nice spiritual world, real personalities are there. Then you come down into this world, everywhere ghost. Right side, left side, front, everything, all ghost, all talking nonsense, ghost. So it's like preaching in the material, coming to the material world is like preaching to the ghosts. And then, putting some sense in them to wake up.